Hi, welcome back to Quaranteaching. I'm Maria Harris.
I'm still Tim. We're still doing this.
And this week we have the pleasure of speaking with another Harris, not related to us, Stephanie Harris, who is an expert in mindfulness in the school district in Michigan. And so welcome, Stephanie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Maybe if you want to take some time just to explain a little bit about what mindfulness is and its importance in the school setting and in a classroom.
Absolutely. Mindfulness is this present moment awareness that we cultivate on purpose. It's being right here, right now, and treating this moment without judgment, without wanting to change it, with a little bit of kindness, some curiosity, in order to really self-regulate. It's a great self-regulation tool, not only for our nervous system, but for our emotional well-being. And we tend to spend a lot of our day ruminating about the future and regretting the past, if you will, or thinking about the past. When being right here in this moment can bring us a certain amount of contentment that will allow us to make better decisions. It will allow us to be a little bit more at peace, regardless of the storm that's going on around us.
Obviously, your role in providing professional development to teachers in school districts through a regular school year had to look different once we had this shift of we're not in the classroom anymore. And so what did that look like for you, and how did you feel that your role was still important and kind of shifted?
Well, prior to the quarantine, I did a lot of professional development, staff development, working with students in the classroom, working with teachers one-on-one directly, in person. And then we shut down. And my immediate response was, how can I be of service? And so in working with my district, what are we going to do? What is our best course of action? And so in doing so, we developed this video series. And the video series allows anywhere from 8 to 12-minute videos, not only explaining mindfulness and the benefits of mindfulness and various strategies and techniques in mindfulness, but we have videos that are geared towards elementary students, middle and high school, and adults as well, so that every age group can find their what works for them in using mindfulness throughout their day.
What's the website that people that are viewing, parents, educators, can access?
So it's through Lake Orion Community Schools, and I think it's lakeorionschools.org. Okay, and there will be a resource called Mindfulness. So under resources, there will be a mindfulness section. And if you go to that section, all the videos are still there and other resources are still up and coming on a continual basis.
What are some things that you have given to teachers, maybe skills or some things you've seen teachers do in their classroom? So maybe not remotely, let's say maybe before remotely. So what were some activities or maybe daily things or regimens or things like that teachers would be doing that you would help teachers do in the classroom?
I know teachers and educators are very aware of the fact that while a student is dysregulated, they cannot learn. And so our ultimate goal is to get a student regulated so that there might be an opportunity for learning. So we kind of start back here in our primal brain, and that's where we regulate. And then, here is where we learn to relate. In the hippocampus area, we learn to relate. Now that I'm regulated, I can start socially regulating with you. I can pick up on your cues. I can start to form some sort of relationship with you. And until that happens, we can't reason. And this is our prefrontal cortex. And that allows us, that's our executive functioning center, that allows us then to engage in learning. And until all those things come together, the student is not going to be able to engage in a meaningful learning environment. And so with teachers, what I do is I give them very short, quick tricks, if you will, or strategies or techniques in order to, even if it's only for a minute, to be able just to get them to regulate and relate so that they can start reasoning, they can start learning. So a couple of things that I've done with my students and that I've done with teachers, and I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because I also believe it's really important for the educators to regulate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because of attunement. And if the educators are stressed and full of anxiety and are dysregulated, the students are going to pick up on that immediately.
Oh,
and so
100%.
it's so important, first of all, for the educators to have strategies. And then once the educators can come in even, regulated, then the students can attune to that and feel safe. And once the students feel safe, then the strategies can be used with the students. And I tell teachers and educators all the time, the few minutes you're going to spend up front with mindfulness, you're going to gain on the back end tenfold. So we'll do some focus exercises in terms of breathing or tuning into our body, physical sensations. That seems to be very powerful with young learners. Just learning to, we do a lot of 5-finger breathing. I don't know if you've ever seen 5-finger breathing where they trace and breathe. And that is physical touch, which grounds students, along with then focusing on their breath of inhale, exhale, inhale. And by the time they get to the last finger, things have started to slow down. Things have started to regulate. They also attune to the room and start noticing, I'm safe. And once they can feel safe, then the teacher can now start with things that are a little bit more abstract and not so much embedded in, am I going to be okay? We got to get that out of the way first.
Yeah, I like that, that breathing exercise is almost something I think teachers, I'm just bouncing in my own head, like starting your day with that, come in the room and just having everybody do that because you just got off the bus and you're all amped up and fired up, like just getting your way to, getting a nice way to calm down to start your day. I think that's great.
I can't tell you the difference. Sorry. I just,
no, that's okay.
Taking that 1 minute during a transition or at the end of it is game changing.
Something that Tim kind of got me into a few years ago was morning meeting and the importance of like starting your day with that as a great way to like bring all the kids together, self-check, check in with each other, and kind of regulate yourself, especially for students who are maybe coming in, fired up from the bus or morning daycare or morning lineup, things like that. Do you assist teachers at all with, here's some great things that you could do at your morning meeting or your class meeting or afternoon meeting?
Absolutely. All the time. I have a bag of tricks. I literally, like I have a rolly bag that I take. And there's so many things, so many resources. And what I love about the mindfulness that my certification is in research and science-based mindfulness. And so I love bringing the research. I love bringing the science. I love giving ways that we can use physical touch and movement and our breath and all of our senses in order to regulate. That's where I really get fired up. And so I love then passing that on to staff and teachers to use in their classrooms.
Okay, so come March 13th, that was the date here in Illinois. I think it's probably the same for you. How did all of this hands-on, you're there for a resource for the teachers, you're popping in their rooms, you're bringing your bag of tricks. How did this then shift to remote learning where obviously you're not showing up at the kids' houses? What did this look like then for you in your role?
Well, with my own classes, because first and foremost, I had to still teach.
Right.
So I was online every day teaching, and I still started my online classes with mindfulness. We did a lot of I Spy. And so I get the students, I spy something in my environment that's red. I spy something that looks warm. I Spy. And by the time we've gone through 3 or 4 I Spies, you can see they're starting to be with me. And then we move on with our lesson. Breathing balls, you know, the big, I think it's the Hoberman sphere. So we use those. And that's how I worked with my own students. And honestly, there were actually times with some of my own art classes online where we did mostly mindfulness activities because I could tell that they were just really struggling. As far as the district is concerned, my role with the district, I mainly just focused on creating the videos for elementary level, middle level, high school level, and adults. We had, you know, a regular schedule that they would come out, and now we have a fantastic library that's available all the time to access. And it is a little bit of learning. So I open the video with perhaps a strategy or a technique or an explanation. And then we go into a very short mindfulness practice, and we just kind of go from there. It's just out there and it's just available as needed.
You've taught over 25 years, is that right?
Yes, I've been in the public school system for, this is year 26.
Okay, so, and I would view you just, you know, as being an expert, obviously, on mindfulness. You know a lot and have all these things. Why do you think now it is such a focus in almost every district?
Well, I'm sure even in your length of time in education, you see the SEL pendulum swing back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So sometimes it's a huge priority. Sometimes, unfortunately, it is not. And then there usually is some sort of program that becomes popular, several, if you will. I believe mindfulness now has really grabbed hold for a couple of reasons. One, I believe that it has really found itself now based in science and research. Mm-hmm. And some of the stigma, if you will, because it is now secular, and we have such amazing programs that are secular in mindfulness. So I think some of the stigma and the attachment to various cultures and religions have gone away. Mm-hmm. So I feel that that's a big part of why mindfulness has really taken hold. And I also believe that people see such quick and immediate benefits. Mm-hmm. Mindfulness can work in minutes. Training can happen. You can see immediate results in 8 weeks or less. We are finding ourselves in a world that is so dysregulated. Mm-hmm. And mindfulness is the antidote. Being here right now in the present moment is an antidote to this very chaotic and busy world that we live in. And so I believe it is so desirable to so many people. And like you were saying earlier, even the students that don't buy in per se get a moment to be still. And sometimes throughout our day, we don't have those moments to be still. And I think that is so attractive to so many people right now.
Thank you so much for chatting with us. I really hope people that are viewing, whether you're in education or not, you found this useful and can check out some of the videos that Stephanie posted, especially as we enter into a school year of likely more unknown things for us as adults, which then can make the students feel nervous and dysregulated.
Yeah. So Stephanie, thanks so much for hanging out with us, and maybe eventually we'll get to meet in person. So thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.